What's going on, everybody? Hope you're all doing well on this fine Thursday. Today we have got a fun video planned for you. So earlier on this year, the FM24 cycle ended up doing a 20 best roles. 20 best roles within FM that you can implement into your tactics and help get the most out of them and help win you the most trophies. Well, today we're back with another list. This time it's not a top 20, it's a top 17. So it's got a little bit more of an elite list here. And the goal, once again, give you the 17 best rules to help you make the best tactics and win the most trophies possible. So without further ado, let's get into things. So starting off at role number 17 that we can see on screen right now, the inverted fullback. The inverted fullback, I wasn't sure if it was going to make this list or not because I really do like this role, but there's been plenty of other roles that have really shone bright this year. But the inverted fullback is always there because it always helps you just make sure you're defensively sound. Because what the inverted fullback essentially is, it drops in and plays as another center back. It is a very smart role to utilize within any system that you may have, especially if it's a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 and you're still wanting to have numbers back. Utilizing an inverted fullback is going to help you do exactly that. Coming in at 16 though is the winger. Whether it is on support or attack, very solid all around role. Now, it's not as good as the inside forward. There's a couple reasons as to why, because essentially the inside forward is a wide striker, but the wingers are very good creatively. So whether it's on support or attack, you're going to be getting a lot of creativity from those wingers out wide. Now you will get some goal contributions as well for sure. And one of the best ways to make sure that you are getting that is by taking on one of the instructions I already actually have on this tactic here, which is shoot more often. Yes, they are instructed to cross more often, but by them shooting more often as well, you're going to get the best of both worlds. But if you have them cut inside with the ball, they will act like a better version of an inverted winger. Coming at 15, we have got the wingback, specifically on support. The wingback on support, very, very solid role overall, and it's once again one of those pretty good creative roles that you can utilize within your side, especially if you're looking for creativity out wide. Now, some of the best ways to get the most out of your wingbacks on support is instructing them to stay wider, but also dribble more, cross from that byline, and cross more often, aiming those crosses at center. If you end up having that on your wingback on support role, this is going to be a vital key piece to any success that you have going forward. So if you have some good playmaking wingbacks, putting them on support with these instructions are going to make them absolutely broken. Coming in at 14, we have the central midfielder, specifically, once again, on support. The support central midfielder, very, very good. I feel for me, this is a better version in central midfield than a deep line playmaker or putting an advanced playmaker there. Now, with the central midfielder, it is a highly customizable role. As you can see here with the instructions, everything is in bright green. When it's in bright green, it is custom made. It is what you put on there. So you essentially can make it into whatever type of role you want. I do suggest kind of putting it to where you're having them moving in channels, making sure they're tackling harder, doing their job defensively, but also sometimes roam from position is a great instruction to put on a central midfielder on support. Same thing with dribble more. If you want them to be supportive, but also kind of try and contribute goal scoring wise, shoot more often is definitely okay to put on there. But from the central area, aiming your crosses at the far post is a very, very good option to have, or you can have them go centrally as well, either centrally or far post. You will notice a difference for sure. And at 13, I actually just mentioned this role. It is the advanced playmaker, whether it is on support and or attack. Very, very solid role to utilize from the 10 spot. That is where I prefer it to be used from. It is very, very good, especially when on attack. When on attack, it kind of performs like a playmaking shadow striker, I guess is the best way to put it, because you're going to get plenty of assists. You're also going to get plenty of goals. Compared to when it's on support, you're mainly going to be getting the assists. But instructions wise, with them moving into channels, once again, very, very important to have on. Roaming from position, I think on advanced playmakers, is very, very good to have. And then if you are on support and you still want them to get further forward, definitely feel free to tell them to do so. Don't really need to. If they're on attack, I would definitely suggest having them get further forward on, just because it really drives home that attacking duty. And then when it comes to your crosses, either centrally or far post are going to be the ideal locations for that. And at 12, we actually have our only role for center backs, and it is the ball playing defender. Whether it's on defend, stopper, or cover, you can't really go wrong with any of them. It is kind of tactical system based though when using stopper and or cover. Usually use those when they are in back threes. Defend is usually the go-to here. But when you are putting on instructions with ball playing defenders, I would suggest not only instructing them to tackle harder, but dribble more. For some reason, dribble more on good ball playing defenders makes them unbelievable in that role. So if you're looking to have some pretty good defenders or just make them more broken than they already are, definitely put those two instructions on. And at 11 is a role that I've kind of been utilizing a little bit more now lately, and it is very, very good. I've been sleeping on it for a while. It is a defensive midfielder, whether it's on defend or support. I personally prefer it on support, but it's also very good on defend. This is another role, like the central midfielder, that is pretty much fully customizable, except on defend, it will come with some pre-done instructions. But on support, you can essentially make it whatever you want it to be, which for me, I like putting on tackle harder, dribble more, take more risks. That creates a very, very good defensive midfielder for you, especially if you have someone that has some playmaking ability to them from that defensive midfield area. And we now break into the top 10, and the first role for the top 10 is one of the more overpowered roles this year. It is the inverted wingback. Whether it's on support or attack, that is where you get the most out of that role. Defensively, it can also be very good with the right player, of course. But support or attack, absolutely fantastic. If you have players like a Ferdy Kaggioglu at Brighton, who is pretty good defensively, pretty good playmaking wise, but you can slide them into midfield, they're going to be a big time reason as to why you are winning games. And this role on its own can win you games, not only offensively, but defensively as well. Now, role number 9 is the fullback, either on support or attack. That is what I prefer using them on. Once again, a role that is basically fully customizable. On support, very, very good. You can basically create your own version of a wingback with them. However, on attack, it is probably one of the better options for that position. Either wingback on attack, fullback on attack. Those are the go-tos right there. Wingback on support, definitely though. I don't know why I feel this way, but for sure I would use wingback on support over fullback on support, but fullback on attack over wingback on attack, which is why fullback is so much higher on this list than wingback. And at number 8, we once again have the central midfielder, but this time on the attack duty. It is like having a striker in midfield at times. It is very, very good, especially if you have a very, very good player within that role for you. Once again, pretty customizable role, just like the one on support. The only thing that is naturally on there is get further forward, but instructions-wise, it's kind of the same as the one on support. Tackle harder, move into channels, put on take more risks, maybe roam from position, dribble more, but putting shooting more often on. If you have a central midfielder with good finishing, play him as a central midfielder on attack. You'll see what I mean by striker from midfield, essentially. They will bang in loads of goals. You'll probably have a 17 goal, 25 assist season, which is absolutely bonkers from a central midfielder. And at 7 is our first striking role, and it's definitely for those who like to gegenpress. It's the pressing forward. The pressing forward, very good and fun role to have and utilize. Defensively speaking, I haven't really used it all too much, but I do know that it can be pretty good at times in certain scenarios. But on support and attack, very, very good. I personally prefer it on support. I think the way that it plays is very unique because it drops kind of like a deep line forward does, but contributes like an advanced forward does. It's very, very weird in the way that it operates, but it's very, very good. And then pressing forward on attack, that is what a majority of people do utilize it as. And it, once again, is a broken role because of its ability to not only press, but bang home loads of goals. Which, speaking of banging home loads of goals, that leads us to our next role, number 6. It's the advanced forward on attack. The only duty that it does come with. If you are looking for an out-and-out goal scorer, this is usually what you have them on, is an advanced forward. You might throw them on poacher, but advanced forward on attack is the go-to striker role. This is essentially what you should always be using, unless you're trying to use something specific for your system. Then you use like a pressing forward type of striker, maybe a target forward, deep line forward if you want them dropping, complete forward. All kind of depends, but majority of the time, advanced forward on attack, that is the go-to with the strikers, and for good reason, as they bang home loads and loads of goals and can contribute assist-wise as well. We're now into the top 5, and we start off with the wingback once again, however, on the attack duty. So wingback on support and attack both making this list. Wingback on attack coming in at number 5, though, it is absolutely incredible. And when you have someone with pace, someone with playmaking ability, or sometimes goal scoring ability as well, playing them as a wingback on attack, they can become the best player in your side, or at least the most influential player in your side. So when it comes to instructions, it all depends how you want your wingback to play. If you want them to be more aggressive, you have them tackle harder, dribble more, shoot more often because they can contribute with goals and they'll be crossing as well. Have them stay wider so that they can play as big of a role in your side as possible. Or if you want them to be a little bit more conservative, you have them ease off those tackles. Still stay wider and dribble more, but maybe not shoot more often, but make sure that they are contributing playmaking-wise by still crossing more often. In at 4 is the attacking midfielder on support or attack. I prefer this role more than the advanced playmaker, as we can tell, but I prefer the attacking midfielder on support or attack over shadow striker nowadays. Shadow striker has always been a very good role, but attacking midfielder on support or attack, they can become, just like the wingback on attack, one of the more influential players in your side. It does, however, come down to instructions that you end up putting on this role. They can become the central figure on your side where everything revolves around them if you have the right roles and if it's the right player to be doing it with as well. Now, moving to channels, roam from position, I think those are a must with this role, whether it's on support or attack. Dribble more often than not, I would be putting that on. Shoot more often if you have essentially a 10 that can play like a striker, definitely be putting that on. Take more risks, don't necessarily need to have it on, but doesn't hurt to have it on at times if they are a very, very good player. Crosses, where it's being aimed at, to me, I don't really take that into consideration with the 10. However, I would probably put it at center or, once again, the far post, like a couple of the other roles. We're now into the top 3, and the first one of the top 3 is a winger, but it is the inside forward. Inside forward on attack or support, very, very good role. I think that they perform pretty similarly to each other as well. They're essentially wide strikers. If you were to have think of it as like having a wide striker that is an advanced forward, except they're either able to be put on the support or attack duty. That's kind of how I look at it. And when doing the instructions, I essentially have them play the exact same. I want them to tackle harder out wide if they are a player that I'm comfortable doing that with. If not, obviously just don't take it on. But shooting wise, always instruct them to shoot more often and aim those crosses at center. Whether they are on support or on attack, I want them shooting more often. And at number 2, we have probably, and this was almost number 1 as well, we have the Segundo Volante. The Segundo Volante is one of the best roles you can utilize in any tactic. No matter what, if you are using defensive midfielders, you should probably have a Segundo Volante in there, if not having both of them as Segundo Volantes. Because double Segundo Volantes, whether on support or attack, very, very good. This is a role that could be used support or attack and be good either way. It is a customizable role once again. Tackle harder, moon, and channels I always tick on. However, lately I've been putting dribble more on there quite a bit, and if I want them to be a little bit more risky, putting on take more risks. The only time I put on shoot more often is if they're on attack, which already has get further forward ticked on. However, if you want them on support and you have them on get further forward, don't really worry about putting shoot more often or shoot less often on. They're kind of going to do what they want anyways. And this is just a all-around game-changing type role for a side. And finally, we have the number one role for FM24. It is the ball-winning midfielder. The ball-winning midfielder is absolutely phenomenal, whether it is in defensive midfield or central midfield. I feel like I get more out of it in defensive midfield, though. And it is a role that I have found a way to really break this year, whether it's on defend or it's on support. There is a way to make this the best role within your tactics, within your sides. And it doesn't really come down to the instructions on the role. Yes, the ball-winning midfielder is going to do what it essentially is meant to do. It's going to see the ball, get the ball, move the ball off. That is what your ball-winning midfielder is meant to do. They tackle harder naturally. I like to put dribble more on there now, as well as take more risks from time to time. However, a player here like who is currently playing as a ball-winning midfielder for me, and Mr. Habel Puyanto, he is essentially like a natural ball-winning midfielder, someone that is very well-rounded and is pretty good at playing defensively, pretty smart, pretty decent technically defensively as well. Not like game-breaking, but pretty decent all around. They're going to do what the role says it is meant to do. See the ball, win the ball, move the ball off. However, say you have a player like a Joao Neves, who is, as we can see, a good playmaker with good passing technique, vision, first touch as well. You put them in that ball-winning midfielder role, which he is capable of doing, by the way. You put them in that ball-winning midfielder role, you have the most broken player on the field, because they essentially play like a playmaking ball-winning midfielder. That is how they play. And if you have a gap, say you're playing asymmetric, you have a gap that allows them to push up the field a little bit, they will contribute goal-wise then as well. It becomes the most broken role in the game if you have someone that is a playmaker playing as a ball-winning midfielder that does have the ball-winning midfielder capability, but then becomes even more broken if you have them playing into a kind of hole within your system that just allows them to exploit everything and everyone. So there we have it for today's video. Hope you guys did enjoy. Let me know your favorite roles down below in the comments. I am very curious as to know whether you like Segunda Volantes, ball-winning midfielders more, if you like inverted fullbacks, if you don't like inverted fullbacks, let me know down below in the comments. I am genuinely curious. But if you did enjoy today's video, please feel free, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribing is 100% free, so on that sub button. Right now, I'll be popping up my most recent video here on the channel, so definitely make sure to check that out. And until next time, everyone, have a good one. Bye-bye.